The following are the words of Lou Civello, president of the Suffolk County Police Benevolent Association.
Police officers risk their lives to protect our communities and keep our streets safe. These officers are the thin blue line that stands between your family and the criminals that would do them harm. We are your neighbors, protecting your neighborhood. Hold the line. Support law enforcement. Stand with the Suffolk County PBA.
The following radio show is live, except for the announcement you're hearing right now.
Welcome back to Your Island Live with your host, Tom Schiliro, on 103.9 LI News Radio.
And once again, welcome back. Moving right along on our Wednesday edition. Our next guest, you've heard him before. It's always great to have him on. Lou Civello can make it today, so C.J. Hutter is taking his place, and C.J. has become a little bit of a star. He's the head of that pod. He's hosting that Suffolk County Police podcast, On Patrol. I've been watching it. 36, 37 segments have taken place. I know many of you have been seeing it also. You could easily find it YouTube. You can find it there. It's just a great. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but it's always good to talk to C.J. about some current law enforcement issues that are taking place right now. So let's say hello to C.J. Hutter. Hey, C.J.
Hey, Tom, it's great to be on again.
You know, what kind of feedback you're getting from that? I'm just curious myself on the feedback you're getting from that, because you have an eclectic viewpoint of a lot of different issues that are out there. Also, the guests that are coming on, many of them Suffolk County residents, professionals in the field of criminal justice. How are you feeling about it? I mean, you really have 36, 37 segments, I think. I may be wrong. You're going to correct me. That's a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So we just put out our 36th episode earlier this week, and it's been going really well. We've been having a lot of fun doing it. We get to cover a lot of topics that affect Suffolk County residents, and really, New York State residents and Americans as a whole. It's been great to have a lot of our local elected leaders on, some, community activists on, some current Suffolk County police officers have been on to discuss some of the critical incidents they've been involved in. So it's great to be able to just inform the public of everything that's happening in our communities involving law enforcement, and kind of talk about some of the issues that we lobby to change as well. Some of the recent criminal justice reforms that have definitely gone too far. We want to try to help, get some of those rollbacks to help police officers do our jobs more effectively. And it's been a lot of fun just kind of bringing attention to some of the issues.
You know what I like? I mean, first of all, I know many of the people that come on the program. I know you. And it's just so nice and so delightful, I have to say, to really watch and listen to the truth and listen to common sense. Because it is sickening, CJ, when you see and and I want to talk a little bit about it today's segment, of what's happening all over the country. And that I keep saying, why don't we not? And we don't do it. We don't profile some of the great things that are happening among police officers. And we know they're happening here in Suffolk County, but you see some great acts of heroism all over the country. And you see it all the time.
Everyone's reported.
Yes. And when I see a program like yours, of what the Suffolk County PBA has done for the residents of Suffolk County, and just the people I say that sit in the traffic on the LIE, the forgotten middle class. I talk about those folks all the time. You get an idea of what law enforcement's all about. And just this morning, I want to give you an example. I don't know if you heard this. Just this morning, as you know, we're days away from a very important mayor's race in New York City. And we cannot exist in a vacuum. Nassau and Suffolk County have a lot to do with New York City, even in policing. Our Suffolk police are constantly in touch with the New York City Police Department on cases that are very common. You know that as a professional. And they caught Mandami. When I say they caught him, there's a lot of background research into this guy. He is the leading candidate to become the next mayor of New York City. We're days away. It's 6 days away from the final vote that's going to take place on Tuesday. And so they're finding him saying things. About 2 years ago, he compared the NYPD. Now, he's a very anti-Semitic person, pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, very anti-Jewish, without a doubt. And he made a statement that the NYPD gets its, I'm trying to quote him directly, foot on the neck of its citizens from the IDF. And he said that. almost word for word to that point. This is a dangerous individual. This is going to make Brandon Johnson look like Mr. Pro Police, and he's the furthest thing from it. So I fear for the brothers and sisters in the NYPD of what's going to happen with this guy. He's made his viewpoints known. Again, when we listen to your On Patrol, or you listen for the most part on this program every day, we're always talking about some of the great things. We need more of that, because if you're going to get a mayor like that, we got some real problems. Your comments on statements like that?
Yeah, obviously making comments like that are divisive. It just feeds to that rhetoric that's been dividing this country for the past couple of decades. It's statements like that have led to a lot of the distrust in law enforcement in some of these big cities. And I'm happy that in Suffolk County, we've been able to kind of keep that at an arm's length. A lot of that sort of rhetoric does not make its way out here to Suffolk County. And we try to highlight that on our On Patrol podcast, too. We bring on, members of the Republican Party, members of the Democratic Party, community activists, and we discuss a lot of the issues that we're facing and how a lot of us kind of view the same issues as problems that need to be addressed. There's maybe different ideas on how to address those problems, and I think the only way to come to the best solutions is to try to maintain an open dialogue. And when everybody's just always kind of speaking to people that are going to further their agenda or feed into this rhetoric, not much progress happens, right? And it's very dangerous to be able to just operate in a vacuum all the time, like Mandami over in the city, right? I'm praying for the New York City police officers right now, because I still have a lot of friends and family that work in New York City. I started my career in New York City. A lot of Suffolk did. And, he's talking about possibly decriminalizing prostitution as well. I've seen headlines about that. And just think about, most people don't go into prostitution because they want to. It's usually got something to do with them being addicted to drugs, right? There's other factors involved that lead to all sorts of crime and violence. And it really, I don't think that his policies as far as public safety and law enforcement go are what's going to be best for New York City.
Yeah, we have so many examples of the mess in Portland or Chicago, or even the suburbs of Chicago, when mayors and Governor Pritzker of Illinois, they're focused in on law enforcement and how bad they are, and they put out these messages that absolutely make me sick, that cause a problem.
That rhetoric is so dangerous. You bring up Portland. In Portland, the police union that represents the Portland police officers, it was firebombed and attacked a few years ago because of the negative rhetoric that goes on. It's dangerous for everybody.
We have a 911 tape. The last time Lou was on, I played it, but I want to play it for you also. You've heard it. I know you've heard this tape. And this comes out of a suburb of Chicago. And the ICE agents, they were being surrounded. They needed help. And this was outside of federal installation. And the rioters, they're not protesters. You know that. I know that. They're rioters, and many of them are paid rioters. And in one case, they actually rammed a car into an ICE vehicle where shots had to be fired. The use of deadly physical force had to be used in order to stop the threat against them. So what are they going to do, CJ? As you and I both know, from Suffolk County perspective, they call a 10-1. In New York City, it was a 10-13, right? So they called that. And I just want you to listen to this 911 tape. Let's play it.
And again, per the Chief of Patrol, we have all the units that per 999, Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location. All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Police in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Place in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
How does that make you feel? Because I got sick when I heard that.
Yeah, that just makes my blood boil. I mean, you have law enforcement officers out there asking for help, and police officers by nature want to go out there and help and keep everybody safe, and they're being told to stand down and not respond. It just makes my blood boil.
Now, the male voice that you heard was the watch commander, and he got the order from the chief of patrol, who called him. Now, the chief of patrol is tied in with Brandon Johnson, so it obviously was the chief of patrol who wanted to basically go with whatever the mayor said. Is this hearken to a future of New York City if Mandami is elected? Because I fear it is. I fear we're going to be talking about New York City like you and I are talking about Chicago. Go ahead, CJ.
You know what? I fear that it is as well, and it is sickening to think about. It makes you worry about, everybody I know in New York City, whether they're a police officer or not, because you need to be able to have police feel comfortable in doing their jobs and want to be out there protecting each other so that they can protect the public. If cops aren't comfortable in doing their jobs, they're going to be less effective. And that's the bottom line. That goes with any line of work, right? Anybody who's comfortable in their job setting and is given the tools they need to succeed obviously has a higher likelihood of succeeding.
And, I did some background.
Out here in Suffolk County, we end up interacting with other law enforcement agencies all the time. When I was a Suffolk County cop, I would respond to Long Island Railroad train stations to assist MTA from time to time. I would respond to a deputy sheriff on an eviction to assist him from time to time if they felt that they were in danger, right? So you need interagency cooperation. You need to be able to help each other when it's needed.
In this case, the sergeants and lieutenants who were working, there was no hesitation, and I want to make that clear. There was no hesitation on their part. They were on their
right thing.
Yeah, they were on their way. We all do that. You've done that. I've done that. It's just you hear somebody needs help, you're going. There's no question about it. But to be called off of it, like the way they were, and I don't know if you caught it, but the 911 dispatcher had to ask for a repeat because she didn't believe it, and she's a civilian, CJ.
Yep,
and she's
unbelievable to her because it defies logic, and it's just an example of the rhetoric and the anti-police, defund the police type of attitude entering into, say, a mayoral office or some sort of elected office of power and influence, just resonating down, and maybe appointees having to follow along with what that rhetoric is to appease the boss that appointed them.
Elections have consequences, and you and I we always talk about that. I mean, it's important you elect the right people. And I think a litmus test for anybody, Democrat, Republican, puts itself on the ballot, is the protection of the public. Wouldn't you think that would be high on the list? I don't care if you called yourself a liberal or you called yourself a conservative. Wouldn't that be the number one thing on your list, is to make sure people feel safe when they go out to dinner or when they go to the shopping malls like we have here in Suffolk County, and they can count on if they call 911 because they heard a noise outside their home or something, or God forbid they heard gunshots, and they make that call to 911. Isn't there an expectation that they're going to be safe?
Right, you would think so. And, I know from speaking to our elected officials out here in Suffolk County, they all put public safety as the number one priority, right? I mean, even if you look at any poll, public safety and affordability are the number 1 and 2 issues everywhere. And it's great that out here in Suffolk County, our elected officials do give us the tools we need to succeed. They are properly funding the Suffolk County Police Department. They are making sure that we have the resources and manpower out there to properly police our neighborhoods. They've done a ton of hiring over the last couple of years under the Romaine administration. The Suffolk County Legislature has passed several local laws to help give us the ability to enforce local laws, local codes to address local conditions that maybe New York State law is kind of lacking on, and giving us the power to address these conditions for the public, like the street takeovers, right? We passed local laws to increase the penalties and fines for the people that were taking over the streets, blocking the streets, doing street racing, the ATVs blocking William Floyd Parkway. I remember, a time, a few years ago, on William Floyd Parkway, in my personal car, on my personal time, I wasn't working. I'm crawling at like 10 miles an hour on William Floyd Parkway because there's 100 ATVs blocking the parkway. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I know you.
The Suffolk County
yeah.
Ledge passed laws to help the police
Right.
address these issues.
Right. And that's, I'd like to think that's not a rarity, but I guess in certain good communities like we have here in Suffolk County, and they don't have to be red or they're blue. They have to be common sense to pass legislation like that. And you know what's sad, CJ? You had, to me, our district attorney is the best. We have the best, Ray Tierney. He comes on. He's got a regular spot on my program every other week. And you had him on, and we were talking about some of his accomplishments as he nears the end of his first term, which, believe it or not, will be, we're almost in November, the end of December will be the end of his first term. And one of them was these street takeovers like you referred to. And he went initially to Albany to ask for help. Listen, this is what we need. We need legislation like that, too. And he said it was just deaf ears. They didn't see the need then, nor did they want to. But he went, as you talked about, went to the Suffolk County Legislature, and this is what you are talking about. And they did the right thing. They did the right thing for the people of Suffolk County, because these are dangerous individuals, raising the penalties on this stuff, because we have raised the age laws in New York State. We have felonies that are being prosecuted as misdemeanors. And we have all of that, which is increasing, without a doubt, the danger element of for the public. But we're almost in a vacuum here in Nassau and Suffolk County. We're keeping the way it should be, but that's because we got some great people. But Ray Tierney, our DA, in some cases, he's got a tough job because he has to deal with Albany. He has to deal with what comes down from Albany. CJ?
Yeah, no, Ray's a great guy, and we've gone up to Albany with Ray to try to lobby for some of the law changes that he's looking for in order to be able to prosecute the crimes more effectively and hold the bad actors accountable. We went up there to help lobby for Chelsea's law, some other laws to just help combat the crime, because you need penalties to fit the crime. You need true deterrence, because when criminals look at, maybe getting arrested for a larceny and being out in 2 hours with a desk appearance ticket, it's not a true deterrent to getting caught doing a shoplifting crime. It's not a true deterrent. They look at it as almost a cost of doing business if you're a career criminal. And it shouldn't be that way. There should be real consequences for actions.
On Thursdays, we do our Albany report. I have Doug Smith and Jody Giglio and Dean Murray, great people. I know you know them very well. And their perception is that we live in a pro-criminal state. They will not pass important legislation to protect our first responders, our police officers. They won't protect qualified immunity. Well, yes.
Yep.
And this is.
And I was just talking to Dean Murray about something similar too. Dean Murray brought up, what about all the victims here? It's like you used to focus on the victims and protecting victims of crimes, and it seems like the state assembly and state senate have largely started to disregard the victims in all this and just started protecting the criminals and making it more difficult for police to do our jobs.
See, I think what a lot of my listeners do, because we get text messages all the time, they like Suffolk County. They like the Suffolk County Police Department.
It's a great place.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people lose sight that as Suffolk County goes, the rest of the state don't go, if you know what I mean.
Right.
There's other laws out there in areas like in Binghamton, Buffalo. Of course, New York City is a hot mess. And I really am hopeful for next week that we don't have to add New York City to our conversations about Portland and about Chicago and these other different areas. Before we go, I just want you to put it out there when people can listen or where they could find On Patrol.
Yeah, so our On Patrol podcast is on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and it's connected to all the PBA social media outlets, our YouTube channel. So it is easily findable. We share a lot of the reels on the PBA social media, so you can get an idea of what topics we're talking about and what guests are coming on. And we typically put out a weekly episode, but from time to time when there's a hot topic issue going on, we have put out 2 or 3 episodes in a week in the past.
I have found it a lot on YouTube.
YouTube
got a great
is
access
the most common place.
CJ, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Great conversation, and we'll talk again soon, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. It's always fun.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, let's talk to Rich Chris. We'll be right back.